Hi African Queen channel guys, how are you today? Wow, the days are going. It's already November. Is it the 17th or when is it? Yeah, it's already November 17th. I just cannot believe how time flies. But in the meantime, we just finished with our elections in Kenya and already so much is going on. And as much as, my channel, if you look at my channel, guys, first of all, thank you so much for subscribers, my dear followers, my dear friends on YouTube and on Facebook and other channels and platforms. I really appreciate the fact that you've come on board. Well, welcome very much. And I've been covering a lot of very, very different topics on my channel. And that's because I refuse, to come and be just one thing. Human beings, I believe, are multidimensional, and so am I. So are you. So it's difficult to box me into one particular place. So many things are happening in the world. When you look at the world, there's economic issues going on, spiritual issues going on, emotions. People are having issues with emotional issues. Mental health is an issue. Trying to figure out how to get money, income, employment, young people, security. So how do you ask somebody to just be unidimensional? It's not possible. Let's be multidimensional and proud of it. So in this channel, we're going to discuss many different things. And today we're going to talk about politics. And I'm going to talk about the importance of education and civic education in schools. And also in the light of what is going on now. At the moment, it is so obvious that our countries in Africa are being destabilized for a reason. It's very painful to watch, very difficult to see, because I am just one generation or two generations away from those who fought for the freedom of our continent and the freedom of my country, Kenya. Although I am living in the Western country, at the moment, this is partly because of the fact that we've not been able to achieve true independence in Africa to the point where financially and economically we are totally independent and able to live off our land, live off our creativity, our innovations and things like that, yeah? So what I wanted to talk about is this: leadership, the importance of leadership in a country. What usually happens, and I've taken a few notes today, the life of a nation, there are cycles, okay, and periods of high awareness and low awareness. I'm sure you're aware of that. Great leaders emerge in cycles of darkness, in cycles of, like now, what we have experiencing in Kenya. If you go online on YouTube, you're going to find so many analysts on there. New people, new faces you've never seen before. Probably even my own face is new. And that's because we are the new leadership that is emerging, okay, because of the need, because of the fact that we are in darkness as we speak. Okay, so what happens is that when a threat emerges in our countries, when great leaders emerge in a country, you enjoy leadership, you enjoy the fruits and the benefits of that leadership. Okay, it lasts for a period of time and the new generation enjoys it. And what happens is that with the new generation, if they're not educated, institutional memory of why it is that they went to fight in the first place goes away. We must maintain, as we enjoy our newfound freedoms and independence, we also must maintain the education so that the institutional memory of why it is and how it is that we're here is not lost. This is actually very prominent in countries such as the UK, which recently celebrated the Red Poppy Day. There was a big celebration in London. You see people wearing the red poppies and they're actually celebrating their heroes, the people who fought in the wars before. And apart from that, they also spice it up and add a bit of cultural affair, cultural flair. You see the Indians are there, the Africans are there. But the fact is that they have a Remembrance Day. That is actually educational, institutional memory being inculcated in the people of the UK so that they never ever forget the sacrifice of their ancestors. What have we done ourselves? What we do, we have a day that, maybe one day in the year where we're given a public holiday and everybody goes to drink and enjoy themselves. Maybe they'll watch some celebration going on. This becomes the day for the military and the army, to, go to parade themselves and to be checked and do guards of honor and things like that. But what about the participation of the people? What happens is that actually the purpose of the whole day is lost because that opportunity to instill educational memory, institutional memory through education and through entertainment and art and culture is lost. Yeah, so we need to go back to that. So the idea is that if we don't maintain our educational level, the institutional memory is lost, and then young people start to take everything for granted. Okay, and then we go to sleep. We are at war in the whole world. We are at war. There's a war for dominance in education, in culture, in now food security, in everything, in health, our religions, what we believe in. There's war for dominance in all these areas. Let me give you an example, for example, how we mess up, how we really mess up our sovereignty, our democracy, and what it is that we fought for. Let me give an example of, for example, Ghana. Ghana messed up its democracy, okay, when their great leader, Kwame Nkrumah, who actually fought for the independence of Africa, a great known Pan-Africanist, okay, who believed in sovereign independence, who wanted a unified Africa, just like we know about Muammar Gaddafi. Kwame Nkrumah also falls in that group of leaders who wanted sovereignty, who guarded the sovereignty of his nation and of Africa generally. Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown by people who backed the West. Meanwhile, the Queen went dancing with him, while all along knowing that there was a coup plot against him. You know, he danced with the Queen, and the Queen was dancing with him, and he was in African hospitality. Meanwhile, in the back, she was plotting, and she was aware of this plot to overthrow Kwame Nkrumah. Okay, so what happened when Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown? Okay, the father of the now president of Ghana, Akufo-Addo, took over, and the Ghanaian economy disintegrated, okay, completely, and Ghana became a poor country. Many Ghanaians actually ran away. They went to Nigeria, and many of them were even thrown out of Nigeria and had to come back. They were given, like, I don't know, was it 24 hours or 48 hours to get out of Nigeria? Yeah, those Ghanaians. Ghanaian women were known to do prostitution, you know, because of poverty. Yeah, people just became so desperate. You see, we have to think as Kenyans where we're going. Yeah, are we pushing our women? Are we pushing our vulnerable people to do things that they would otherwise not do? So what happened is, the military guy, Jerry Rawlings, okay, overthrew the guy, yeah, and took over power. And now, even if he came in the military way, he was actually voted in as president twice over, again, democratically. Yeah? So now the generation now, after Jerry Rawlings, you know, by the way, Jerry Rawlings, as you know, that good-looking guy who was a pointy, he looked like he was mixed race. I'm not really sure whether he was mixed race. But anyway, he died on November, I think it was 12th in 2020, like 2 years ago. So that time he found a Ghanaian economy that had completely disintegrated, deteriorated. There was nothing. People had become refugees. Ghana was just like not a country anymore, because of the rule of this gentleman, Akufo-Addo's father. So Jerry Rawlings took over and built up the economy amazingly. There are so many things that I found out. There was a list of like 26 major achievements of Rawlings' administration. Okay, I'll just give a few examples. Okay, so for example, he achieved political and economic stability in a region that was rife with conflicts, and the whole region includes the whole of Western Africa, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Guinea-Bissau, and all those countries. He created 110 districts through non-partisan district-level elections, and he developed education infrastructure. As you know, Ghanaian education is actually very, very high level. He created healthcare and devolved it all to the district level. Okay, and then he absorbed hundreds of thousands of people, Ghanaians who are living in Nigeria, who had been given 24 hours or 48 hours to leave, otherwise they would be seeing dust. They were expelled, and he housed them and he gave them jobs, yeah, and then he moved them into their family homes, and then he built the first ever memorials to Kwame Nkrumah, and many other things that he achieved, by the way. I'm not here to just talk about Jerry Rawlings. I'm here to give you examples of what good leadership can achieve in Africa. So, as I was saying, so Ghanaian economy now started to lift up. When he died after that, of course, who was rigged in? This guy called Akufo-Addo, who is the son of the previous dictator. And as you know, an apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And what has happened to Ghana now? The Ghanaian economy is all messed up, democracy is under threat, and in the last elections which were rigged, people were not even alert anymore. Why? Because they had actually relaxed under Jerry Rawlings' rule. Yeah? By the way, Jerry Rawlings actually removed Akufo's father, okay, because he was a very corrupt president, okay? He was a traitor, literally. So Akufo's father was actually involved in the coup against Kwame Nkrumah, the first president. And he was eventually removed by Jerry Rawlings, who achieved a lot of economic and cultural and social-cultural benefit to his country. Akufo, like Uhuru, our president Uhuru, was a student of the Western nations. He had gone to school in America. I too also went to school in America. That doesn't mean anything really. You can either use your education for good or not as you come back to your country. So what's happened is that you need to know now that Akufo is messing up democracy and the sovereignty of Ghana as we speak, because he is a stooge who has been implemented by the West, and he has been implemented through rigging. Now let's come back. Parallels to Kenya. The parallel to Kenya now is that we have right now our own stooge called Ruto, who has also been instigated there by the Western countries. What do we have to show for his rule so far? The first thing he did was put a stranglehold on the so-called hustlers whom he was coming to represent. The first thing he did was to remove all the safety net. He removed the food safety net, he removed the health safety net, the transport, he increased the cost of living tremendously. And what that does now is that it makes the people at the very bottom of the pyramid extremely vulnerable, okay? And what it does is that then people are willing to say yes to anything. And therefore, he introduces the GMOs, okay? And it's going to be very difficult for people who are hungry to say no to GMOs, okay? Because unfortunately, our ability to think, our ability for critical thinking is actually compromised very seriously, because our pockets are empty, our economy is being affected, our businesses are not performing the way they should, and our investment is actually not achieving any benefit. So what we're putting in, we're putting in more than we're getting out. And so let's go back first of all to history a little bit. The generation of Jomo Kenyatta who resisted the West, okay, is a parallel example. The education system, okay, in those days included civic education. I myself am a beneficiary of civic education. Okay, we were taught civic education in schools. Because what is the purpose of civic education? The purpose of civic education is to teach young people about the very basics about how their government works. Okay, just pick it up, from the Google, and that's what you find. The very basics of how government works. Right now, who even knows how government works? Very few people know, okay? They learn about the executive, the judicial, the legislative branches of government, and why these branches must work together to pass and enforce laws. Now, that's the part that they don't know. You'll hear children reciting and regurgitating, okay, about how our, government is constituted or created. But how it works and why it works the way it works probably is missed out, yeah? Because in a truly democratic society, we need an educated population, okay? So a truly democratic society relies on its citizens to be informed and ready to act. What good is a government of the people or for the people, by the people, if the people themselves have no idea what their role as citizens entails or to what civic rights as citizens they are entitled? If you don't know what your rights are, what you're entitled to, okay, the government is a duty bearer. You are a rights holder. You as an individual are a rights holder. You hold certain rights, okay? And some of the rights are inalienable rights, such as the right to life. Nobody can question that right to life. But in order to live, don't you need food? Don't you need water? And should it not be safe? Yeah? So you're entitled to know the fundamentals of government, the ownership as citizens, the limitations of government. Government has limitations. Are you aware about that? You have rights as well as you also have responsibilities. You need to be proactive and knowledgeable in voting elections. That is where you get to learn about your responsibility when it comes to elections. Okay? Education does not stop in schools. It should also continue on media, on TV, in our entertainment, in days, celebratory days. Those are the days now, that we can actually participate as part of a whole country, as part of a region, as a unit, as a family of Kenyans, as a family of Nigerians, a family of Ghanaians, so that it's not just a day, a remembrance day, which is held somewhere in a showground where people don't have access, okay? This is something that should go into the streets. Everybody should be aware of the sacrifices of the past. The new generation, unfortunately now, is focusing on entertainment. We should remember the Mau Mau struggle for freedom. They call them the Mau Mau. They used to call them the terrorists. But they struggled for our freedom. And these Mau Mau who are called terrorists, some of them are relatives. Some of them are our actual relatives, our grandfathers and great-grandfathers. Even if they were not directly related to you, they are your countrymen and countrywomen, and they should be celebrated the same way you celebrate people who are running in Olympics, who are doing things on behalf of the country. Yeah. So even in the days of the Kenyatta, not everybody was a fighter. There were traitors as well. Okay. As we speak right now, what I could say is that we have evil people who have been currently instituted as leaders in our country. These people, I would consider them to be traitors. Yeah. Because they are traitors against the struggle for independence, against the struggle for sovereignty that our ancestors fought for. That is what they're traitoring against. Okay? And they have invited Westerners to come and people to come into our country to benefit from the struggle that they sacrificed for. If you remember, or for those of you who are well read, you are aware that before somebody actually lost their life, before they were shot, they actually took a mound of soil and held it in their hand. And that is because they were saying that they are dying for the country. Their blood was spilled so that we can inherit freedom and we can inherit the benefits of independence. We can never inherit the benefits of independence as long as we are going to continue to agree to be fed on Cerelac, on food that does not help us, on food that even poisons us. All right? On rubbish TV, on rubbish entertainment. When we have an opportunity to go on YouTube, instead of looking for channels such as ours, the channels of the analysts, the channels of people who will educate you, you go to the channels where people are gossiping and discussing things that will not help you or your future generation. Where you're concerned about how people are dancing, it's all good to watch all that entertainment stuff, but do not allow your mind to just only be focused on those things. Yeah, because this is actually the kinds of things that they would like to push to us as they are planning things in the background. Okay, they're dancing with us this way, this tune, as they're plotting evil against us in the background. Unfortunately, some of our artists are also seducing the population the wrong way, distracting us from things that matter. They are contributing to the blindness in society and the cluelessness of our generation. And our generations, young generations, you must say no. You must say no. Do not become consumers. Become producers. Become innovators. We are innovators. Nobody should come to my kitchen to tell me what to cook for my family. Just like nobody should come to my land to tell me what to grow for my family and how to grow it. How do I know that they have my best interests at heart? Why is it that in traditional Africa, okay, our mothers, many of them, used to warn children not to go to the neighbors to eat? Don't just eat anywhere. Okay? Your food is a sovereign thing. Food is a very, very sensitive thing. Even in your own household, yeah? You are careful about the food that you eat and the things that you leave out. Yeah, if you have foreigners coming in, because you never know how they'll use it. So the same thing with our soils. Our soils are actually the nurturing. They provide nurture for our seed. And if anybody tampers with our soil, then they have tampered with our seed. If they tamper with our seed, they tamper with our food chain. If they tamper with your food chain, they tamper with your health. And it goes on like that. And the quality of your health is at stake. Yeah. So when we're talking about GMOs, when we're talking about, the risks to our health, the risks to our environment and stuff like that, you guys should actually be paying attention, pay close attention to what we're talking about. Okay? Africans are always portrayed as consumers and not producers. Why? Because they have stolen all our knowledge, our science, our technology. Western nations have decided to take credit for everything that we have created and portrayed us as uncivilized and as unknowledgeable. And unfortunately, these people, these leaders who are the traitors in our society, they continue to perpetuate that view of us as people who cannot think, people who are there to be told what to do. That's the reason why they have no shame presenting us as hungry at international conferences, complaining about the weather, as if what exactly did our ancestors do when the weather was bad? Did they just stop eating? Does it mean that people just went hungry and died? I don't think so. I think that's the reason why they have been shown why we ferment food. We ferment food. In Africa, you know that we ferment milk, we ferment grain, we dry meat. Yeah, these are things that we should have continued to do to process our food, to keep it and to help it to last through difficult periods. These difficult periods are assured and they will continue. And that's one thing that we cannot allow our leaders to take advantage of and to use that as some sort of like carrot and stick against the population. So Africans were always developing and always innovating. We were always using science. We never used it to destroy. We had our own spirituality. We didn't use it to destroy, except to destroy our enemies. We were aware about even military things to do with gunpowder, and so was China, by the way. But we never used it for destruction. Yeah? So we were aware about mathematics. We never used it negatively, and we should not. And that means that, we need to, all of us, engage our critical thinking skills. Engage critical thinking for problem solving. This is not something that I can discuss in just one video. Otherwise, it will run out of time and it will get a bit too long. But it's a difficult topic to discuss. But when I get emails asking me, I have these problems, how do I resolve them? Okay, what I can say is engage your critical thinking skills, because all the information is out there. Know who you are. Your identity is extremely important. Yeah, and know that you are already a whole human being. You are whole. The fact that you are here, that you have survived this long, means you actually have it in you. You have the ability to address your own difficulties and challenges, and the challenges that are brought up by the environment, if you would only engage yourself and trust yourself. One of the things that the Western nations made sure that they were going to do was to destroy our self-confidence. Once you have no self-confidence, then you are not able to make proper decisions. Yeah, it's an abusive relationship. In abusive relationships, the first thing that goes is your self-confidence. The first thing that is attacked is your self-confidence. If you are faced with a challenge, for example, you are going to leave an abusive relationship. Yeah, engage every single faculty that you have of your brain. Yes, you will be depressed. Yes, you will be sad. Yes, you will, be worried and fearful. But in the end, actually, eventually, survival instinct will kick in. Solutions will be found. And immediately you start to see solutions and to your problems right in front of your face. Yeah. So all I can say is that if you have issues with your self-esteem, read your history. Go into YouTube. Look for people who are talking about African history. Remember who you are. Yeah. Nobody should come to tell you who to be. You are already who you are. Yeah. You are who you are, and you are enough for yourself. So all I can say is that let's treat our continent and our countries the same way. Let us remember that we must maintain our sovereignty and our independence. The independence that was fought for by our ancestors, by our leaders, whether they're from our own countries or from other continental areas, other countries in the continent, they actually sacrificed themselves. You have to be able to live without. So for example, if they say, okay, well, the weather, the climate, it's not been raining, it's very dry, we're not growing food. What is the solution? Is there only one solution? I was reminded recently, actually, my husband was reminding me today about this thing of Margaret Thatcher, which is called Tina. There's a saying during the Margaret Thatcher days, Tina, Tina, there is no other way. Is it true? Is there no other way? Yeah, there's always another way. Yeah, we're only educated and taught to think in one-track mind. There's always thousands of solutions and thousands of remedies for problems. So, for example, we have drought in the country of Kenya, or we have floods. Is there only one way? Is it only GMOs that is going to rescue us from this? Is it the only way that we can grow crops? How about growing crops that are drought resistant, such as millet? How about changing our diets? How about deciding to do with less? How about learning from other societies what other crops they can grow? How about learning things to do with food preservation? Yeah? How about reducing and limiting our options, just so that we do not poison our food systems? How about cleaning up our environment? How about planting more trees and bushes? How about drilling boreholes? How about shallow wells? There are so many solutions that do not have anything to do with chemicals. We should be aware that many people will take opportunity and take advantage of our ignorance. As long as we continue to become consumers and not producers of innovation, and consumers of things that are not going to be elevating us and helping us to learn and to solve our problems. So, African Queen channel subscribers, I'm going to stop it here, but I'll continue talking about this issue until I become even more articulate. Because, we haven't had the culture of articulating these kinds of things, and so it's a bit difficult, it's not that easy, but I am not going to be afraid. I'm not going to wait to become an expert. It's not about just experts, not just about listening to the experts. Everybody is an expert. If you have survived this long, you are an expert on survival. Yeah? You are an expert and you have something to learn and something to teach about how to survive. So please, give us your comments in there. Yeah? And remember to engage critical thinking skills always, and challenge everybody else to also engage critical thinking, even with children. Yeah? Because we cannot just continue just to be open and available for whatever anybody wants to bring us. Yeah. Okay, guys, on that note, goodbye. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much for subscribing. Remember to like and share. And when I say like, just press the like button. It's important to like and share these videos, because if you like, that way YouTube knows that my channel is important, it's being engaged with, and they will also elevate it, okay, on the platform. Thank you so much for your time. Facebook, thank you so much for promoting my videos. And for those of you who are watching my videos, thank you very much. Please remember to comment and to share. At the moment, I'm not earning anything from these videos. If you want to see me earning money from these videos, please remember to like and put a thumbs up on these videos. Like they say, patience pays. I'm ready to do the time, okay? Because I know that these kinds of topics don't usually generate traction, but I am okay with that, because the road that is wide is easy and the road that is narrow is difficult. I'm taking the narrow path because the narrow path is a narrow path of truth, okay? So thank you very much. Take care, guys. Love you. Bye-bye.